Michelle, you've traveled to the capitals of the world as a representative, as a running for President of the United States, and we're both so overjoyed to see a new relationship with God's covenant land and people, which you and I have been there many, many times. Tell me your thoughts as you saw, particularly way back on February 15th, Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump.
This is one of the best stories of the election, one of the very best outcomes. I traveled to Israel after the election in the end of November and the beginning of December in 2016, and you could see the elation and how overjoyed people were across Israel at the outcome of the American election with the election of Donald Trump, because everyone knew Barack Obama was against Israel. It was obvious. All you had to do is see that every policy he had was to cut the legs out from under Israel and to advance the interests of Islamic Jihad. In fact, I believe that Barack Obama's number one foreign policy purpose was to lift up Iran and to ensure that they would become a nuclear power and a party to contend with in the nations of the world. This was Israel's greatest concern and greatest fear, and yet the right hand of a holy God had Israel's back. And in his provision, in his time, he raised up Donald Trump, who is a pro-Israel president whose daughter married a Jewish man and keeps a kosher home. But I think more importantly, Donald Trump has no anti-Israel agenda. He is not out to settle a score with Israel. It was palpable. You could see that with Barack Obama, that he had an inner hatred. That's a harsh word. I hate to use it, but almost a visceral anger toward the Jewish state. Now, the other thing that's very good, I believe, is the ambassador that Donald Trump chose.
Yes.
And that is Mr. Friedman, who is our ambassador going to Israel. Mr. Friedman is an excellent choice and an excellent candidate because he has a history of being a pro-Zionist for Israel. This isn't just something convenient. This isn't a business proposition. He genuinely is for Israel. He's for the United States, but he is for the Jewish people and for the Jewish nation. So the United States has abandoned its posture under Obama of being against Israel and doing everything it could to hurt Israel. And now instead, you want to talk about a reprieve. This is the greatest thing that could have happened. Now the United States is for Israel. That puts us in the path of blessing, biblically.
Absolutely. And we were talking about that off air here, and Phil, you and I cited Genesis 12:3. America's going to be blessed as a result of this.
Well, we're seeing the Bible come alive in our own time. The promise is immutable, eternal. The Lord made an everlasting covenant with the land and the people of Israel and those who would come alongside. We are heirs of the promises of God, and if we see the reality of the everlasting covenant, we will be eternally blessed. If Donald Trump aligns himself as a friend of Israel, by God's promise, he will bless us in many ways that we can't even imagine.
Absolutely.
It may give us the motivation to get the other parts of our house in order. If we have that right, everything else has potential for coming into place. If we have that wrong, after all, what does the verse say? He that blesses Israel will be blessed.
Genesis 12:3.
And he that curses Israel will be cursed. And that brings up another intriguing thing. What are some of the possible consequences for these anti-Israel policies that people like Barack Obama put in place? The Lord doesn't just look away and forget about it just because he's not president anymore.
I was kind of going there. And Michelle, we have the Iran Treaty Agreement. ISIS formed under Barack Obama, the UN Security Council back on December 23rd. We have some staggering things, negatively speaking, that took place under in that administration. Staggering.
They are. But we also have an opportunity with a new sheriff in town to send a signal to the world that the United States is not going to be a patsy to advance the Islamic agenda anymore.
That's right.
And that sends a powerful signal. What is tragic is that Barack Obama already has put $150 billion into the hands of the leading killer in the world today. Yeah. The chief state sponsor of terrorism, the Ayatollah Khomeini, has $150 billion. What's worth over a 10 years period, he has $1 trillion worth of business deals with the likes of North Korea, China, Russia, and all the rest that he'll be contending with. We need to do everything that we can to make sure that Iran is no longer empowered and that their interests and their gold, which is well stated. Remember, during this whole Iran agreement, I was actually at a press conference with Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. It was sponsored by Ted Cruz at the Capitol on the Iran agreement. And the Ayatollah Khomeini had just written a book that Iran will annihilate Israel within
That's right,
25
years.
They're very overt about their goals. They aren't right now because with Barack Obama, they could every day of the week say death to Israel, death to the United States. You don't see that anymore, do you? The reason why is because Iranians are smart enough to know we're not going to put our thumb in the eye of an American president who opposes what it is that they want to do. But the United States needs to do everything that we can. There is no agreement. First of all, I want to make it clear.
There's no agreement.
There is no Iran
you're
agreement.
right.
All Barack Obama did is just enrich Iran. And so we can't do anything about that. That horse has left the barn. But what we can do is make sure that Iran gets no further advantages and take every opportunity that we can to wrest that monster that's in the process of being created. And I still believe, as I said to Barack Obama personally, as I said to Prime Minister Netanyahu personally, the United States of America, in my opinion, should work with Israel and every other ally that we can, and we should bomb and take out the known nuclear facilities that we are aware of in Iran, because they will be used by them not only to annihilate Israel, but to annihilate us.
That's right.
And we have to recognize this is their plan. It's not just aspirational. They intend to do this, and we need to defang this enemy before it's able to claw us.